Hey everybody, it's Veronica, and let's go ahead and get started on this Google Hangout. Thank you for joining me. I see that there are still some people filtering in here, but we'll just go ahead and get started with the intro to the intro. If you're tuning in late and you've missed anything, the replay will be available immediately after. So the first thing I want to mention is I know a lot of people have a lot of resistance to outsourcing, either because they've never done it, and it is kind of scary to hand over your business, your tasks for your business to someone else, especially the first couple of times. And a lot of people have heard horror stories about outsourcing and having things just completely blow up. Also, some people have tried outsourcing in the past and have had bad experiences because they didn't approach it right, or they maybe just got a bad outsourcer. And it happens. It happens, it still happens to me. It happens to everybody. And it's something that with time, it gets better. You become more able to pick out the right people from the start. So I just want to say, if you do have any reservations about outsourcing, please don't let that get in the way, because the benefits will so far outweigh that. A little bit about me and about my experience with outsourcing. You may notice there's a lot of noise in the background, depending on how much of it my microphone can filter out. And that's because about 10 feet away from me, my daughter is sitting in the living room watching Dinosaur Train, which is a pretty loud show with a lot of screechy voices. You'll also notice my background here is not exactly an office environment. I'm literally standing in my kitchen right now, because if I go around on the other side of the counter and sit where there's actually seating, my daughter will come over and start climbing on me and bashing on the keyboard and trying to help me work, which doesn't help when I'm trying to get through a video presentation. So I usually let her come up and sit with me if I'm just working on my own, but it doesn't work in this particular situation. My babysitter is in school again now, so I only get her for a few hours in the evening, usually when I'm making dinner, so it doesn't really give me a lot of time to get work done in the evening now. So basically what I'm saying is I would not have a business if it weren't for outsourcing. I wouldn't be making any money if it weren't for outsourcing, because I would not have the time or the physical environment available to me to be able to do all the work that needs to be done on my own, nor do I even know how to do all the work that needs to be done. So I'm, a prime example, stay-at-home mom, work-at-home mom, full-time. I work full-time. I make a full-time income, and I take care of my daughter full-time, and I do it because I outsource most of my work. So that's what I want you to be able to do. So we'll go on to the first slide here, and it's just basically, if you're not familiar with what outsourcing is, outsourcing, the literal definition, is to purchase or subcontract from an outside supplier or source. So to purchase goods, you can outsource your products, your manufacturing, or you can outsource your services. You can outsource either the services that you need done for your business, or you can outsource the services that are actually provided to your clients. That does add another layer of liability if you have outsourcers working directly for your clients, but there are ways to limit the liability associated with that. And once you find an outsourcer that does a good job, that works directly with your clients, do not let them go. Let me tell you, it's hard to find, not impossible. But once you do find someone that works well with your clients, you want to do whatever you can to keep them. Basically, it means to hire someone to supply either goods or services to your business. So some examples of outsourcing would be, for example, someone who's an internet marketer who hires a graphic designer to custom design their graphics for their book covers. A speaker, a professional speaker who goes to seminars and gets paid to stand on stage and deliver a message, who hires a virtual assistant to help with their email management and with maybe their bookings and with putting together their marketing packages, etc. A pizza place. It can happen in real brick and mortar businesses too, who hires a bakery to deliver their bread and their dough, or a retail store who hires an advertising firm to create a marketing campaign for them. The retail store owner is probably not going to create their own advertising campaign. And other examples would be when you take your car to be repaired by a mechanic. You're outsourcing your auto repair. If you have a plumber come and fix your toilet, you're outsourcing your toilet repair. If you have someone come to clean your house or to re-roof it, or even babysitting. A babysitter is outsourcing. You're outsourcing your childcare. So a lot of people don't think about all the ways that they already outsource, and they get freaked out about outsourcing for their business, but you're probably already doing it in a lot of ways. You don't fill your own teeth, or you don't clean your own teeth. You don't, you don't do your own surgery. You don't do a lot of things yourself because you have other professional service providers do it for you. So just want you to think about that. You're already outsourcing. Just expand your horizons a little and apply it to your business, and I promise you it'll pay off in spades. So some common titles for outsourcers. There are a lot of different names people use to talk about their outsourced workers, and they can be independent contractors, which is one of the most common. And it's tax-wise, if you talk to the IRS, you want to always say you have independent contractors. Don't ever call your outsourced workers your employees. Puts you in a completely different type of tax liability. They can also be called vendors, subcontractors, freelancers, service providers, and all of those terms can be used interchangeably. They all mean the exact same thing. Are these people employees? No. No, no, no. Never call them your employees. If you want to, you can think of them inside your head only as your employees, but don't call them that. Don't ever put anything in paperwork that says that they're an employee. Your state, employment departments will find it, and they will use it against you, and the IRS as well. And then you'll be subject to having to pay payroll taxes, which can add another 15–20% to your costs for these outsourced workers. Don't want to do that. Independent contractors also do not receive any health benefits or other company perks. So if you do have employees in your business that have a health plan or a retirement plan or anything like that, outsourced workers don't get that. That's one of the main differences. They're also responsible to pay their own taxes. They're responsible to file their own taxes at the end of the year, to claim the income that they've made from you, and to pay their own Social Security and Medicare and their own federal income taxes. You do not withhold any tax from their payments. Also, depending on the terms of your contract, they're not guaranteed future work. You can just piecemeal it out and just hire someone for a particular project, or even just a particular little small micro task, and they are not going to assume that they're going to come back into work tomorrow because they're not an employee. Another thing that I'll mention here that is one of the main criteria that the state employment departments and the IRS will use is if you dictate to your outsourced worker what their work hours should be, or how they should do the work, like exactly which software program they're supposed to use, or if you provide them with the software program, if you provide them with any hardware, if you're micromanaging in any way, the state and the IRS will try to consider that person an employee. Outsourced workers, independent contractors, freelancers, they have their own equipment, their own software, they work their own hours, they make their own schedule, they determine how they're going to do the work, and as long as the end product that they provide to you meets your criteria, your requirements, it's good. So it's not up to you to determine how the work is done or exactly when. Now, there are going to be differences there. For example, if you have someone that's providing customer service that needs to be available to your customers a certain, during a certain schedule, then they are going to have to be doing the work on that schedule. So there are some exceptions, but in general, if they're doing, data entry type of work, if they're answering emails, if they're doing graphic design or web work or any kind of programming, coding, they can do it anytime. As long as the work gets done by the deadline that you set, you have no right to tell them exactly when to do it. So who can outsource? You can. Anyone can. You don't have to have a big business. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have much money at all to start. You don't have to have a lot of work for the person. You don't have to hire them full time. Outsourcing can be done by businesses of any size. Obviously, large mega corporations do it. We all know they do the whole thing with Nike and all that. You know, everybody outsourcing their work to these third world countries, and a lot of people have a bad opinion of outsourcing because that's all they've heard, that people are taking advantage of, you know, underprivileged people, and it's not about that. It's not like that, and it doesn't need to be, and you don't have to take advantage of people just because you're outsourcing. So get that out of your head. Family-owned businesses. You know, if you have a small business and it's mostly run by family members, maybe you hire a couple outside people, but maybe someone, you know, within your little group doesn't have the particular skills that you need to get something done. Yeah, you can hire the neighbor kid to build your website, but are you really going to get top-notch professional website out of that 12-year-old kid? Probably not. So you might want to outsource that. Same with you know, copywriting. I had a client who had a small family business. They sold like home decor type of stuff, you know, knickknacks, tchotchkes, that kind of thing. And for a long time, they wrote their own descriptions for the products that they sold, and they would sit there with these descriptions for these products that were basically the same thing over and over. They had like a little formula that they basically used, and it was not very interesting, and their catalogs were boring and didn't look very good. It was like a picture and a little cookie cutter description and a picture and a cookie cutter description. I got them to outsource their copywriting for the descriptions of their products and for their catalogs, the design for their catalogs. And this little tiny mom and pop company, their catalog looked like $1 million. I mean, it looked as good as anything that you would get from these major, you know, multinational corporations doing the same thing, but they could give their customers the personalized service of the mom and pop business. Their descriptions for their items were way better because they had professional writers writing them, and you would read the description for the product and be like, I need that. Whereas previously it was like, okay, what is it going to do for me? Flip the page, throw the catalog away. So think about that. The things that you do on a daily basis that maybe you don't really enjoy doing, or that you're stuck in a rut with, or that maybe aren't the shining examples of what you want your business to be or what you want it to look like, you can outsource that very easily and very inexpensively, and you can get more done and better quality rather than doing it all yourself. And then lastly, work-at-home moms. Work-at-home moms need to outsource. You need to either outsource the childcare so that you can get time away from your kids to do the work yourself, or you need to outsource some of the work so you can spend more time with your kids, or do a little bit of both. Outsource some of the work, outsource some of the childcare, get the best of both worlds, spend your time doing what you want to do and what you love doing. For example, if you're a graphic designer and you're a work-at-home mom, you can outsource everything aside from the graphic design that you do for your clients. You can outsource childcare. So you outsource your childcare, you have a babysitter come in so you can sit down and crank out your graphic designs. During that time, don't do any other administrative stuff. Don't do any technical garbage. Work on your graphic design. That's your best and highest use of your time, is in serving your clients and putting your passions out there if you're passionate about graphic design. Anything else you need to outsource. You shouldn't be tinkering around in your website. You shouldn't be trying to learn all the ins and outs of WordPress unless that's something that you provide to your clients. If that's a service that you love doing and you provide to your clients, go ahead and do that. But if it's not, get someone else to do it so that you can focus on what you need to do that you do best, and spending time with your family and doing the things that you love to do. Join me again tomorrow when we'll talk about how to create your outsourcing plan. For more information on outsourcing and all things business and marketing, visit my website at vkcoach.com. That's VK as in Veronica Kirchhoff, coach.com.